What I'm going to show you in this video is adding items to Square and all of the options that you have adding an item to the Square item library or to Square Online directly, and also the relationship between the two and the differences between the two because there are a few, but not very many. But we'll just jump into the item library in Square and all of the item options. So to get there, go to Items and Orders, Items. We want to go to Item Library here, and then we'll do Create Item. Now, we are first presented with the option to auto-create an item by scanning the barcode or searching by name or searching by the barcode number. So anything that's in the UPC database, it will find. It's very accurate. I've actually checked with other database providers and different providers that access the main UPC database, and Square's is always the most reliable in my experience. So if you search a barcode or by perhaps an ISBN number for maybe a book or by name, it will give you results. And a lot of times there are pictures in there, there's descriptions, there's titles, there's pricing, there's all kinds of information. So if you have products that have UPCs, have universal barcodes, and that are purchased from a vendor that provides that, I do recommend you start there because that will save you a lot of time. But if you're a boutique and you have a bunch of items that don't have UPCs and are handmade and things like that, then we're going to go through that. But of course, this is also applicable if you add from the UPC database, but then you want to make changes and you want to understand how things affect each other. So we'll just jump into it. We're first presented with the option name. This is, of course, the name of the item. It should be relatively short so that it can display in all places. In some places, it's a very small area it's given to display, so make sure it has enough information but isn't super long. The next option, if you have a food account or have Square Restaurants enabled rather, is kitchen facing name. Now this is the name that will show in the kitchen and for staff only. Now we can hover over this information icon and this says kitchen names let you customize how your items appear on printed order tickets and kitchen displays. So this is the name that would only display in the kitchen. So if you have, say, something like burger um, with chili, that could be called Bob's Chili Burger, whatever, on the menu to the customer. But all the kitchen needs to know is burger with chili. So the kitchen facing name is typically something simpler, something with less description, less interesting words or branded words or anything like that. It's just a simple name so that the kitchen knows how to make the food. The next option over here to the right is photos, and we can change the color or we can upload an image. Now it does look a little bit different if you're just using retail, but it has the same fundamental capabilities of adding photos and then syncing that to Square Online. The next option is the category. Now this system differs from the Square Online categories because it is not synchronized with Square Online except in an initial import. It can be imported from Square into Square Online. But it differs in that you can't give it hierarchy, you just give it one category. And that makes sense for a restaurant, for retail, for anything in the point of sale side, because you don't need so much hierarchy. And you can, of course, rearrange things on the grid in the point of sale. So it's all top level categories. So you would just search for one, you could say beer, and it would give you all of the options that have beer in the name, or you would do create new if you want to create a new category. Now, I will go ahead and fill this out. We'll do Bob's BBQ Chili Burger. Now, please do ignore that this is a food-based name because this will have all of the same options regardless of whether it's a retail item or a food item. So I'm going to do it as a food item because the food item does have a couple extra fields that the retail items just don't. So please ignore that and please understand that all of this is still applicable to any retail items. So then next I'm going to do chili burger and then I'll put it in the category burger. I don't know if I have a category for that, but I'll do burgers. Create a new category for that. Call it Bob's Delicious BBQ Chili Burger. And this is the description field, and this is where you would describe the item, and this is what will be shown on receipts if you have that turned on. It will be shown in item descriptions in Square Online because those are synchronized. You can disconnect them, but by default they're synchronized. And it'll also show on the point of sale, and it'll show in all of these different places. And you can describe it, tell people what's on it by default, and all of those options. And then next we have the location selector. Now, what this allows us to do is select what locations to display this item at. By default, all locations are enabled. Now, this is my test account, so it has a lot of different options, but if you have this many locations, then you just choose them and um, yeah. So what I'll show you is unselecting all of the locations, and then we can select Amigos Downtown and East Side. And then you can also select an option at the bottom that is available at all future locations. So this will automatically, when a location is added, it will automatically add any items with this option selected to that location and make them available there. Now, you will have to update the inventory for that location, of course, but it will automatically make it available there. So we can select that and that, but I'm just going to leave it to everything selected. Next, we have the options, and options are related to variations, but they're different than modifiers, which is right here. So I know that seems confusing, but I'm going to describe the difference. So options are option sets, and this is for something like for a shirt, you might have options for small, medium, and large, but for a burger, you might have quarter pound, half pound, or maybe you have different types of meats, and that could be an option. Now, food is the option sets are less useful and modifiers are more useful, and for retail items, options are more useful and modifiers are less useful. Now, I'll show you an option set, assume for a retail item and for a food item as well. So we'll add an option and we'll call this option set burger size. Create new, and then we'll have 1/4 pound, and then we'll also have 1/2 pound. So that would be for the burger, this burger example that I'm going through. Now, for something that is a retail item, I'm going to go ahead and remove this. We might add an option set that is shirt size or hat size, color, type, whatever. So I'll do shirt size. And then I'm going to do small, or rather I'll start with extra small, small, medium, large, extra large. We'll do next, tell it to create 5 variations. And what you see here is that these are related because the option set is a set of different options of extra small, small, medium, large, extra large. And then that creates variations for each. What we can do is stack option sets. So we could do shirt size, and we could also do shirt style. And then we could do crew neck, V-neck, and maybe collar and turtleneck. And then when we create these options, what happens is it has now variations for not just extra small, but extra small V-neck, extra small collar, extra small turtleneck, or so it multiplies it across all of the different options. And then if we do create 15 variations, then it has all of these options. And then what we have is we can give it a GTIN, UPC, AIN, ISBN, whatever the universal tracking code is, but it can also generate a SKU for us. So what these option sets are useful for is primarily for retail items where you have different SKUs. So if you have different SKUs for each of these for different sizes, which you should, then you have different SKUs for extra small crew neck, extra small V-neck, extra small collar, extra small turtleneck. You have a different SKU for each size, style, all of these different options because you have to track them separately. Because if you don't track them separately, then not everything works right. Things don't go quite right. But this is a great example. Shirts are a great example of showing you that multiplying out across different options. And then once this is in here, we can of course set a price. Now, even if they're the same price for everything, we would set 10, 10, 10. We set $10 on every single one of them. And then for each of them, we can do receive stock. And I'm going to go ahead and deselect all of this and just make it available at Amigos Downtown because that's simpler. And we'll turn on tracking, select the reason, stock received, and I'll say there's 10 of them. And then we'll click done. And then this will tell you how many are available, how many are on hand, and this will calculate for all locations. But since there's just one location with 10, it of course shows 10. We can also, in the variation section, tell it what columns to show. We can tell it to show or hide these that are shown by default, and then any other custom attributes that we've added. So this is how the variations work. And then what I'm going to do is remove shirt style. Well, but first I'll edit it. So we can edit, and then we can change the name, or we can remove it, and then it will update and remove that one option, the crew neck option. And now we're down to fewer variations because we don't have as many things to multiply across. We can also remove an option set altogether, remove option set, and that will delete the variations for the option set that we're removing, but it won't delete the variations for the option set that's staying. So you see how the size options are still here. And so if we just have that, then we would do set the price on everything, and then receive stock for it. And I'm going to go up here and tell it that it's just enabled at our one location of Amigos Downtown. So then when I click receive stock, we turn on tracking. If it's the first time, we turn on tracking, but then we have select reason, stock received, and we'll tell it 10 were received. And we can turn on low stock alerts for it. We can turn it on, say, a low stock alert of 2, and that will notify us when there's 2 or less of this item in stock. I'll click done, and I'll do this on each. And we do have other details. We can edit details of the variation. We can add the unit if we have Square for Retail Plus, the unit cost and vendor, and we have a kitchen facing name if that's applicable. And we have, of course, the other details and the pricing structure, things like that. And that is available here. So I'll show you how to get to this. We can click on here, and this takes us to details, but then we can access manage stock and custom attributes as well. If we click on the stock blue, the blue text, then it takes us to manage stock, but we can again access details, manage stock, and custom attributes. Now I'm going to receive stock for all 10 of these. All right, so now that it's all here, we can go through these options. We can do manage stock, and this will give us manage stock options on all of these. We can adjust it, and we can also set the new stock. And so we have options here. So the adjustment can be -10, and then the new stock, well, sorry, I'm telling you wrong information. We can add 2, adjust by 2, or adjust by -2, I believe. Okay, just not in this field, but we can set the new stock. And we can do it kind of in bulk here if we want. I'm just going to discard the changes though. We can edit the stock tracking, turn it on and off for all of these and the alerts, and we can add a variation if we want to. We can enter custom ones, or we can add a missing option value combination if we've removed one that was previously there, that was auto-created because of an option set, but that's not the case here. Next is a food only option, and that is adding it to menus. So menus are for food, and we arrange it according to our liking, and it can be displayed to customers. It'll be displayed to, well, actually, menus aren't displayed to customers. They're displayed only to staff in the point of sale. And you can arrange it, categorize it. You can do all kinds of stuff with that as far as the layering. So if you do want multi-layer menus or multi-layer restaurant options, that's where you would do it. You would do it in the menu, not in the item library, because the menu is actually what the staff sees, and the item library is for the back-end management and for tracking and all of that type of stuff. Next, we get to and right below it we have 8 unavailable locations, and then we could edit the locations and edit what menus it's available on, because each location can have one or multiple menus, but it's just available at this one location that has one menu, and that's what it would be available to if we would like. So I'll go ahead and tell it where to put it. We can put it on the home screen, and you can select multiple here, put it as sides, put it with dessert. You can put it anywhere you want. Now, of course, none of those make sense, but you can put it in multiple places on a menu. The next thing is modifiers. Now, modifiers is very powerful. This is where Square shines over Clover especially, because Clover's modifier system is very weak, to be honest. So what I'm going to show you is add modifiers. We'll click add modifiers, and then we have different modifier sets that and we only have one that's available here at Amigos Downtown, I guess, but that doesn't matter. We'll just show you. And we have Amigos Downtown, so we'll select this and click Done, and that applies it to the item. And then we can see some information about it, how many are required, allowed, how many are pre-selected, shown to customer, different information. We can also customize it. We can remove it, of course, but I want to customize it because that's more interesting. It's more complicated, so it's more useful to show you. So it asks us to save, and we would tell it to save, of course. And then what we do is we're customizing the temperature modifier set for Bob's Barbecue Chili Burger. Now this is important because this is setting it just for that item, and we can of course apply that set to other items. And the options here are required modifiers, and the minimum is none, and the maximum is the number of modifiers that are in the list. And then here, the maximum modifiers that are allowed. The minimum is none, the maximum is the number that's in the list. And this is just telling us maybe for a salad or for anything else, they have to select 2 items. So for a salad, you might have pre-selected options, or even for a burger, say, you'd have pre-selected options of like lettuce, tomato, onion. That might be free, but then instead of having different items in the kitchen that they just know, what you can do with modifiers is instead of having different items like for the chili burger, for the whatever burger, you can actually just pre-select the modifiers instead of having separate items. So you can have it where you pre-select chili and onions and cheese and have it pre-select some lettuce, pre-select grilled onions, so pre-select whatever you want. So it pre-selects certain free ones, and then it pre-selects certain paid ones. So maybe all of the different toppings are $1 to $2. So if you want to maintain your margins because the toppings are, you charge more than it's actually costs you, so there's some profit there. If you want to maintain that profit on each item, you can pre-select certain paid modifiers by clicking here. So these are all 0, but let's pretend they're all $1. So we could pre-select that, and since the maximum is 1, well, I'm going to set the maximum to 2. So you pre-select that, and then that's $2 of modifiers that's pre-selected, and that's automatically calculated into the base price that's shown to the customer in online ordering. So that's very powerful because you can, instead of having a customer look, or rather a person in the kitchen staff look at the item name for, say, a burger or something that's highly customizable like a burger, instead of having them look at that, you can have them look just at the list of modifiers that's below it. So the kitchen facing name for all of the burgers can just be burger. Or if there's something highly special about it, something simple like the whatever, the Gouda burger, I don't know. But you can pre-select the modifiers instead of having different items, so then the kitchen staff just looks at that list of modifiers. They're at the burger station, and they just put all that on, and they don't have to know anything. Now, this is all useful primarily for restaurants, but you can use it for retail. There's not very many use cases for it for retail because you need to keep track of stock on retail items separately most of the time, but it can be used sometimes. So if you're in retail, probably skip this section about the modifiers. And you can, of course, tell it to hide the modifiers from the customer. So if you have a burger you don't want them to make changes to, you can pre-select this and you can have your restaurant function the same way, but you can just hide it from the customer and not let them customize it. And of course, it won't show on customer receipts. And you can, of course, select this other option that just that hides modifiers from the receipt, so it doesn't have that long list of modifiers on their receipt when it prints. It just tells them burger or chili burger or whatever the name of the item is. So I'm going to ignore that. But then you can also click here to apply the configuration to other items, and it will take that modifier configuration and you can select various items to apply it to. But I'm going to cancel, and I'm going to cancel this as well because I just don't need to save it. Now I'm going to go find the item again and show you the rest of the options. Here we go. Now, after modifiers, we have custom attributes. Custom attributes are useful if you want to add something that isn't quite a variation. Now, it does, so the way it displays is like a variation, but it displays with a different name. So I'll show you that. So custom attributes, if we want to add a custom attribute, we'll do type/style. Value, we would do diamond, salt, and pepper, add for a custom attribute, and then we can do, yeah. So this would be for if you have multiple variations and I'll make a separate video about custom attributes, but most people don't need to use them, but they can be very powerful. So I'm just gonna show you briefly, but then delete it. Now we're getting toward the end, and we have the point of sale behavior when automatically add item to check. So if this is turned on, then when you tap an item, it's just going to add it to the check, unless it requires more information. So like for a cup of water, definitely turn this on. For any drink for that matter, turn this on because then your wait staff can just tap on it immediately and it's added to the check instantly because there's no other options that are required. Unless, of course, you do need the size of it. But a lot of times, if you just have one drink size, then you don't need that. Cup of water, something simple for an appetizer that doesn't have any changes, it can add it automatically. And then that can speed things up for the majority of people that are ordering things. Now, if you have items like a burger, then you might want to turn this off. But again, you can just leave it on because if it requires more information, then it's going to pop up regardless of what this setting does, or regardless of this setting. Here in the online sales channels, we can set up different online sales channels, but that is a whole nother ball game, and I will show you that in a separate video. Next is our Square Online settings, and we can edit the item in Square Online by clicking here, but we can also edit the availability here. Visible, hidden, unavailable. Visible means that it's visible to customers, they can see it, they can find it, they can buy it. Hidden means they can see it if they have the link, if you've shown it to them other than them finding it in the item library or by search. Unavailable means they can't see it, period. They can't buy it, they can't see it, and if they go directly to the link, then it'll tell them it's not there. Now, if you do choose to update the availability here, you'll want to update the availability, and then you'll also want to go to Square Online and you will want to change the categorization and any other details you want to change in Square Online, maybe upload more photos, things like that. Next is enable per order quantity limits. So if say you're selling alcohol and you want to limit people to 2 bottles of a certain liquor because it's very rare, because it's very hard to get for you, and you don't want someone to come clean you out of it. You can flip this on and you can do a per order limit of 2. And then per order, they can only order 2. Now, this doesn't fix them making multiple orders, of course, but it can be useful if you want to place some kind of limit for any reason. I'm going to leave it off though. Next, we're going to see sell as pre-order, which this can only work if you have pickup and delivery enabled. So this won't work here, and I can show you this again in another video. Next is order timing. So the order timing is where we tell the system the item prep time. And so if you're automatically having online orders displayed um, when they need to be displayed according to how long it takes to prepare them, then you do want to have this setting entered because some settings you do need to have. So for this, it'll have the default order prep time, but we can also edit this. So we have the location default, or we can turn this off and we can change this to some number of minutes available immediately or whatever. I'm just going to leave it as the default though. And then lastly, we have online checkout. Now this would be if you want to create a payment link or a buy button to sell this item and to share that link on social media or on a QR code or anything like that. So if you want them to be taken straight to the item, buy it immediately, maybe for tickets, for a donation, anything like that, this can be very useful. Of course, for most items, you want them to go to your website, but this can be useful if it's for some promotion or a specialty thing that you're just wanting to sell in a very specific way in this one item. But I'm going to leave that off too. So that's all of the options here. Next, I'll go over the actions briefly. You can click on Actions. You can click View Stock History, which will show you the history of various stock. It'll show you all the adjustments. So like it shows you the adjustments from today of 10 received for all of these items. You can update it by the locations you want to see, by the adjustment types, which variations. So this can be useful if you want to see all of these different things. And then, of course, with Square for Retail Plus, you can see stock history across all items all at once. The other option here is duplicate. This will, if you click duplicate, it'll save and close this window and open it again with the same information that you can edit. And then of course there's delete, which sometimes you need it, sometimes uh, you don't accidentally click it, but it does verify with you if you want to delete it. But with that, that's the end, and I have the save button, and I'm going to go ahead and save it. And then I'm going to go over to that Amigos Downtown website, and I'm going to take a look at it and show you a couple of small differences in Square Online. Go to Items, Site Items, and make sure that it's imported. No item, so we'll add it from the item library. And here it is at the top because it's new, but you can of course search for Bob's Burger and just select it and we'll add one item. And then it'll add the item and then it'll redo our search and it should have found it, but we'll tell it to search again. There we go, Bob's Barbecue Chili Burger, and it's showing as a prepared food and beverage item. Now, if of course uh, if you have a retail item, you do want to change this to physical, or you can do event, digital, service, donation, or membership, and you can change the default item under items, item preferences, and then you can find the default item type in that menu, in that page rather. So here we have synchronized the item title, the item description, and we would have pictures, but we don't have any pictures on it. And then we have the availability. So we can't make it visible because it's unavailable for shipping, but we don't need to worry about that right now because I'm just showing you some various options. We can, if we have Square Online Plus, I believe it is, then we can schedule item updates in advance. And we can set the fulfillment options, shipping, pickup, local delivery, self-serve ordering. You do have to set these up separately. We have sales tax. We can tell it whether or not it's exempt from tax or sales tax. And then we can tell it whether or not this item contains alcohol. Now the alcohol, this will affect other things of telling the system that it has alcohol and that IDs need to be verified. If you're doing delivery, then it will tell it's DoorDash, I believe it is, that will do alcohol delivery. It'll tell DoorDash that items in the order have alcohol. So then they will have to check ID, of course, at the customer's location. The next option is gifting options. We can change the stock and we can allow gifting. We can give it nutritional information like calories, dietary preferences, contains the following, and that's of course useful for food primarily, really exclusively. And then we have the options and pricing, which mirrors exactly what we set up in Square Item Library. And then we have here a different option, two different options. We have the sale price, which the sale price will show, okay, so uh, this sale price only applies if your Square Online site, it only applies to your Square Online site and doesn't affect your item price in Square. So if you want to have your item marked as a sale item, marked as a little cheaper online, that's where you would set the sale price. And you can change the different sale options in item preferences as well. But if it does have a sale price, then it would show the little sale icon on the item. Next we have here the images, and we can give it variation images. So if we have an extra small, small, medium, or maybe we have different colors more likely and we want to show the customer each of them, then that's where we would do it right here. And you would be able to select from the media that's already been uploaded to the item, or we can upload a new image, of course. And here we can add variations like in Square in the item library, but we don't need to do that. The modifiers are synchronized with Square item library. And then here is something different. So we have the categories. We can choose categories. And we can put it in multiple categories. So I'm going to do combinations, quesadillas, bowls, and then we'll click save. And if you add it to multiple categories, then that can be useful for customers finding it. If you have something that you want to put in appetizers and maybe somewhere else, that can be useful. And then over in the category section, you can, of course, add hierarchy to your categories, but this is just telling it what categories the item belongs to. And lastly, we have the CO options. So this permalink, this is automatically generated based on the item title, but if you want to change it with some more keywords, then that's where you would put it here. Same thing with the CO title and description. If you want it to be separate from the item title and description, because maybe you want some more keywords in it, maybe you want to describe it differently to get people on the site, then that's where you would do it here. Because maybe on the site, people want more technical information, the sizing, the measurements, anything like that. And on the CO side, you want to draw them in with an interesting title, an interesting description, so that it piques their interest to get them in. But then once they're on the site, they want some more technical information. And that technical information doesn't need to clutter up Google because it's not useful to the customer. That's maybe not what they're shopping based on. So that's where you would change it, but all of this is optional because by default it generates this based on the item name. It generates the CO title it takes the CO title from the item title and takes the description from the item description. So that's all those options. And then lastly, I will show you the three dots up here. We have save and view, which if you click on it will save it and then take us to the item on Square Online. You can do duplicate item, which will save and close this window, and then it will open it again with the same information that can be edited, just like in the Square item library. And we can do view in Square, which will take us to view it in the Square item library. And of course, we can delete it. But I'm going to do none of those options, and I'm going to click Save. I hope this is helpful. Let me know if you have any questions about what item options are available, what stuff means, anything like that. And just let me know, and I'm happy to help.